In this video, I'm going to talk about the absolute number one most important thing you need to be an effective worship leader coming up. Hey there, my name is Glorio, and this is your worship mentor. And on this channel, my goal is to help you grow into a stronger worship leader right where you are. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, please consider subscribing. And if this provides you value, be sure to hit the like button. So I'm going to dive into this because what is this number one thing that is most important for you to know? Well, lately, I've been having a lot of videos on my channel where I talk about things like compassion for yourself and authenticity and, all of these things that aren't typical worship leader traits. I'm not talking about set lists and, music and the things that people think about when they think, how do I become a better worship leader? I'm not talking about some of those things, but these things are actually all very interconnected and very related to this number one thing. And the number one thing that you need to be an effective worship leader is a healthy heart. So what is the heart? Now, the Bible has a lot of definitions and it's used in a lot of places. A cheerful heart, out of the overflow of the heart. There are a lot of places where the word heart comes in the Bible. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. So when we want to talk about having a healthy heart as a worship leader, how do we break that down and think what actually even is the heart? So the heart is more than just your thoughts or your mind, but it's the place where all of your desires come from. Words like character and understanding are close to the biblical interpretation of that word that we translate in English to heart, but they're not all of it. The biblical understanding of it is actually so much deeper. Now, I personally am not a Bible scholar. I've learned things over the years, but I'm not an expert by any means. So I would love to refer you to a video by the Bible Project. That is a great channel. You should check it out. It's all about the Bible and gives you a lot of depth and a lot of meaning. So there's a video on the heart, and I will link that in the description below. So be sure to check that video out to get a deeper understanding of what the heart actually is. So now that we have that definition out of the way, why is a healthy heart important? Why is this the number one thing that you need as a worship leader? Well, the answer I think is pretty simple. If we believe what the Bible says about the heart being where everything flows out of, where out of the overflow of your heart, your mouth speaks, the Bible says, if we believe that everything about us and everything that's coming out of us is coming out of the overflow of our heart, then we have to believe that it's so important that our heart is healthy. If we believe that worship is coming out of the overflow of our heart and we are leading others in worship and leading our teams and pastoring their hearts, then we know that our hearts need to be healthy and that is of the utmost importance. I believe having a healthy heart is foundational to being an effective worship leader. Now, I truly believe this. I've said it in other videos that when you worship, one of the most effective ways to practice is not just to sing your songs and to play them and make sure you know them, but beyond that is to actually worship through the songs that you've chosen to be your set list. Now, the reason I think that is so important is because of what I believe about the overflow of your heart. When you are worshiping and when you're spending time in communion with God, that you are digging a well for yourself, like it's a personal thing, right? That you're spending time with God like that. But when you are worshiping, if you are coming out of this place of overflow, if you worshiping the Lord on your own has been a practice in your life and you are leading out of that place, it is so much more powerful and so much more effective than just leading out of your talents or musical ability. And even on a greater scale than that, when you are pastoring your team and when you are considering and helping to grow the hearts of those around you, how much more important does it become that your heart is healthy? Now, if this is providing you any value at all, be sure to click the like button because it really makes a difference. And lastly, I want to talk about how do we get this healthy heart? Where does it come from? How do we do this? If this is so important, then how do we get a healthy heart? Now, all of these things that I've been talking about lately, authenticity, identity, self-compassion, these are all factors, I believe, in cultivating a healthy heart. And there's a reason I use the word cultivate, because I believe it's not just something that you have or you don't. And I think a lot of things are that way, that you don't just either have them or you don't, but that there are practices, that there are things that you can implement and you can practice to get yourself to a certain place. So if we're practicing and cultivating authenticity, we are getting ourselves to having a healthier heart. And this is just because that's the way that humans are wired. We don't just do something once and then get the results that we desire. You don't go to the gym once and then end up with a built body. You don't eat healthy once and then end up with great nutrition and everything that your body needs to keep growing. And you don't spend time in the Word and spend time with Jesus once and then have a solid relationship with him. That's not how it works with any relationship. It requires cultivation. It requires repetition. All of these things do. And in the same way, improving the health of your heart requires repetition of some of these things that I've talked about. We don't just have a moment of authenticity. We practice it. We make a decision, a conscious decision to be authentic in our everyday lives. You don't just have a moment of, I know who I am and I'm never going to question it. I'm solid in my identity. No, you have to practice living out of your identity before it really becomes something that's solid to you. The overall effect of repeating these things is what actually sustains us. It's not just doing it once and calling it done. These are things that once we become aware of how beneficial they are to our hearts and to the health of our heart, we have a responsibility now to keep practicing them and to keep doing them over and over to keep our hearts healthy. And what's something that's typical of someone who's practicing something? Think of the first time you learned a song or the first time you learned to play your instrument. When you were practicing, did you get it right every single time? No. When you're practicing something, when you're learning something, you're going to fail. If anything's guaranteed, it's that you're going to fail. But that's not a reason to stop practicing. You make a mistake and then you get up and you do it again. So in all of these things, in authenticity, in identity, in compassion, in comparison, you practice doing it the right way. And if you mess up, you can just do it over again and practice it again and get better at it each and every time. So question of the day, what are other practices and things that you do that help to cultivate a healthy heart? I'd love to hear about them. I've just given a few examples, but let's talk about this and dialogue in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video if it provided any value for you. Check out my Instagram page at Your Worship Mentor. That is up and running. I'm trying to post there pretty regularly. And I can't wait to dialogue with you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.